Spider-Man 2 is a fantastic game. The gameplay mostly has major improvements upon the previous games, as well as better graphics and a more ambitious narrative. But we all know the story behind this game. A combination of Sony's meddling and Brian Intihar's terrible priorities resulted in a great game that drags a heavily unfinished nature close behind. Recently, I compared the game to its smaller predecessor, which sparked some discussion and debates. However, I think that it's worthwhile to take a step even further back and see how the most recent entry in the Marvel Spider-Man series compares to the first. Which one is better? I know the first thing on your mind may be the better traversal in the second game, and while that is a massive improvement, I've come across many who think that alone makes this a way better game. And while I do want to wait until later to answer that question for the sake of discussion, I think there is a lot more to this game besides the swinging. It's no secret that Spider-Man 2 has one of the best traversal systems ever, but what else lies under the hood? Well, the first topic I want to touch on is the combat. In Spider-Man 1, the combat had a pretty low skill floor, but the ceiling was a little higher to reward skillful play, like how jumping off an enemy at the right time allows you to dodge bullets, or how the wall bounce asks you to take your surroundings into account. None of these things are really necessary to the gameplay, but they do present extra depth for those who desire it. I think this style of combat works very well. It's highly accessible, but it does give the player more tools to make the combat more engaging if they wish. Where Spider-Man 2 differs is its focus on the abilities. The abilities sit in the bottom left corner of the screen and present you with 4 special moves that you can perform during combat, which either just do damage or open up different opportunities like setting enemies up in the air or stunning them. On principle, this sounds like a big improvement, but while I do like the idea, I do think this game could have implemented them a little better. I've already talked about this in my previous Spider-Man game comparison, but the fact that these all have separate cooldowns makes everything a little harder to keep track of, and it also limits your choices. In Spider-Man Miles Morales, all the abilities were tied to the Venom bars, and charging just one allows you to do pretty much whatever attack you wanted. The choice was up to you, and you could decide to either use it to heal or use a special move of your choosing. Spider-Man 2 doesn't really give you the same choice. You can only use the abilities that are charged in that given moment. If you entered a fight without any of them charged, tough luck, buddy. For regular crimes, this isn't really an issue, but for the symbiote crimes that happen very often after the story, the combat immediately becomes a little more egregious. There is an argument to be made over whether this is a problem with the abilities or the enemy design, but regardless, the problem is still present. Now, I don't want to paint a bleak picture. There are improvements that have been made to the core combat system, like the swing kick combo and ground slam. As for the general combat, I do still think Spider-Man 2 takes the cake. The abilities may not be super well designed in my opinion, but the combat still provides more depth, and for some combat encounters, the abilities aren't entirely necessary. But we're not done with combat just yet, as the next thing I want to talk about is stealth. I think the stealth was handled very well in pretty much every game in the series. It was easy to understand and wasn't terribly difficult. I do wish the game didn't flat out tell you that enemies were safe to take down, but there are enough mechanics in place to where there is other engagement to be had. Like the gadgets. In Spider-Man 1, the gadgets let you create many different situations for stealth, my favorite of which being the web bomb and trip mine. The web bomb is exactly what it sounds like. Shoot it near an enemy and it'll blow up and trap them in webs. Simple on the surface, but once you get smart with the placement, you can make it explode at an angle where it will web the enemy to a wall. Very satisfying. The trip mine is also self-explanatory. When placed on an object, it will stay there for a brief period of time. If an enemy happens to walk by it, it will pull them in and web them to that surface. It can be used at many different angles, which makes it very fun to experiment with. The other gadgets do offer fun stealth moments as well, like the impact webbing, but none of them really add a whole lot of depth to it like the first ones do. Outside of the gadgets, the stealth is admittedly fairly basic. You can take down enemies when perched or strike them down from a distance. Your options may be limited, but it's still really fun. In Spider-Man 2 there are improvements, but it also takes away the best part of the stealth. The gadgets in this game have been totally neutered, and none of them are as fun to use as the originals. The only one that's really worth anything is the web grabber, which pulls a group of enemies into one pile, setting them up for a special move. But we don't have the bomb, the trip mine, or any new ones that make for fun stealth. Technically, the sonic burst acts as a distraction in stealth, but it's not really special, so it's kind of a nothing burger to me. However, Spider-Man 2 does have more opportunities for takedowns like the walls and ceilings. This makes perfect sense and fits with Spider-Man's power set. We also now have the ability to cast a web line. You can walk across the line and perform special takedowns to leave enemies dangling from your line. Once you learn you can chain them together, you can quite literally create a web of bodies. Again, I am going to favor Spider-Man 2 in this particular field. It may remove what made the first game's stealth so fun, but it adds a lot more to it that just improves the experience and brings more substance to the stealth without needing the gadgets in order to be fun. The open world is a pretty divisive topic among the community, as many believe Spider-Man 2 is superior purely because of the city's size alone, while some more observant fans think the open world has less substance in the more nuanced areas, the first of which is the side quests. This is another thing I've already mentioned in the previous video, but I don't mind retreading my points. The side quests in Spider-Man 2 not only lack interesting gameplay, but for the most part they don't really make you feel connected to anyone in the city. Apart from maybe Howard, but I see that as purely shock value. There is this really nice one where you sit down and have a conversation with a man who I believe suffers from dementia, and it offers a very somber and introspective side of the Spider-Man experience. Outside of that one highlight, the rest feel either tacked on or just not fleshed out enough. Like, a lot of these side quests don't even actually result in anything happening, they just kind of set up things for the future. They feel like post-credit scenes, like they'll end with like teasing Carnage or Chameleon or the leaked Spider-Verse DLC. These can be cool, but I don't know, I prefer my side quests to mean something instead of showing me something cool that I can't have. I'd rather help Teo find his cat than help some kid ask out another kid to homecoming. Do you really need Spider-Man to help you do that? Anyway, I think I've made it pretty clear that despite its size, the open world has never felt more empty. You need interesting side quests and crimes that don't feel repetitive, otherwise you're stuck with a huge playground that has little to offer. I don't want to waste my time comparing the narrative of these two games since it's pretty obvious that Spider-Man 1 has a significantly better story and character writing of the two, but I think I've said my piece. From this analysis, I think we can conclude that Spider-Man 2 is overall the better game. It may have a lot more shortcomings than the first, but part of what it has to offer does give more nuance and depth if you look for it, while other areas are lacking of it. I think that what is good about this game is better than what's good about the last game. I don't want to hear anyone say Spider-Man 1 is better just because of the story. I'm sorry, I prefer the gameplay of the video game. But what do you think? Do you disagree, or do you have an entirely different answer? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Also, I know a lot of people probably saw the title of the video and decided to make an angry comment before actually hearing me out, so let's confuse everybody else and comment I know what you did. But alas, the video is not over because today is our final giveaway Monday. We're giving away the last TRZ hoodie. To enter, all you have to do is like this video, subscribe, and comment hashtag giveaway Monday 5, as well as leave in your hoodie size. I'll be announcing the winner of last week today, and next week I'll announce the winner of this giveaway. Thank you so much for watching, and God bless.